Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically on the technical analysis portion of today's video, we're going to be discussing how Bitcoin actually bounced off of support down here around $5,025 and managed to break out here above resistance that we've been talking about for the last couple of days at around $5,185. And over the last 12 hours or so, Bitcoin has continued to trend to the upside, and we've actually tested this level as a level of support and continue to bounce off of it. This could be bullish for Bitcoin in the long term, and there's actually a lot of things that are going on the chart that are not very obvious when you just look at it. For example, instead of Bitcoin trading sideways, there are a lot of people, including myself, starting to subscribe to the idea that Bitcoin is now in an ascending triangle pattern once again. There's a lot of things happening on the chart that we need to discuss in today's video, and I do think you guys will enjoy what we have to look at. But after that, we also have a little bit more news, part of it coming from Kraken, because Kraken, following what has been going on over the last couple of days with Bitcoin SV, has decided to go ahead and delist Bitcoin SV as well. We'll go ahead and be getting into that in a little bit. And then also, we saw a couple days ago, or not a couple days ago, just a little while ago, the cryptocurrency waves crashed 99.9% all the way down to 10 Satoshis on Binance. We'll be looking at that here in a little while. There was a flash crash and someone sold a little bit more waves than he probably meant to, but either way, it makes for an interesting story and does harken back to something that happened to Ethereum back in 2017. Anyway, guys, we have a nice lineup for today, so if you enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that notification bell, guys. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it, guys. A lot of us had been hoping that Bitcoin was going to crash below $5,000 and move back down towards around $4,000 so that we are able to fill our bags up with even more cheap Bitcoin. Guys, as you may have realized over this last year and a half that I've been doing YouTube, I've never really been all that concerned about the Bitcoin bear market. I've never really complained too much that Bitcoin crashes. In fact, just about every time Bitcoin crashes, I make a video like, good, I'm glad it crashed. You shouldn't be leaving the market. You should be happy right now. I've made a lot of videos like that. And the reason I do that is because when Bitcoin crashes, it gives us an opportunity to buy Bitcoin for cheaper than if Bitcoin was just rallying to the upside. And this time was no different. I was hoping that Bitcoin would break below $5,000, and the technicals were there to back me up as well. But not always is Bitcoin going to follow where the technicals lead. Normally it will, but not always. I think the technicals are slightly more bearish right now. Not much, but they are slightly more bearish. But even though we wanted Bitcoin to go to the downside so that we could buy more Bitcoin before the next bull market starts, I think that Bitcoin crash or that Bitcoin downtrend is going to have to take a rain check, because Bitcoin has, in fact, here managed to break bullish and rally above key levels of resistance, namely here around $5,185 and change. This is an important level of resistance, and which is now an important level of support for Bitcoin. We'll go ahead and switch the color of that since it's now support. Bitcoin has come up here and broken this, and like I said in the introduction to the video, we've come down and tested this several times, including in the hour leading up to this video being recorded. Bitcoin had a wick come down here and test that level as well. I would like to see Bitcoin hold above this. If Bitcoin's going to go to the upside, then let's see it go to the upside. I would like to see Bitcoin go to the upside. I would like to buy a little bit more Bitcoin for cheaper, but you know what? You can't always get what you want. But if Bitcoin does continue moving to the upside here, the next major level of resistance it's going to look at is right here around $5,350 and change, guys. Bitcoin has been using this as a level of resistance quite significantly here over the last couple of weeks. And interestingly enough, as I alluded to in the introduction, I think we're going to have to go ahead and redraw our chart now that Bitcoin has broken bullish, because what we can actually do is we can draw an uptrend right here based on the recent lows on Bitcoin and pull it way out over there somewhere. If we get rid of this level of support temporarily so that the chart looks a little bit better, and that one since it's obsolete, and that one also since it's a little bit confusing, then we're left with what looks like another ascending triangle pattern. Guys, we've discussed ascending triangle patterns on this chart previously. There was one right here that Bitcoin ultimately broke bearish out of, but now Bitcoin has entered an even larger one. And during this ascending triangle pattern over here, I was talking about how this was a large pennant for the breakout that we're looking at, but now we're moving into an even larger ascending triangle pattern. And guys, these patterns are typically continuation patterns. Pennants on a bullish breakout do tend to break a bullish. So there is a good chance, statistically anyway, that Bitcoin will break bullish out of this sometime over here at the end of April or early May at the latest. Now, whether or not Bitcoin does that has to do with a lot more technicals than just statistical analysis, but based on statistics, Bitcoin should be breaking bullish here when it does get there. That being said, like I said, there are other factors that go into it. This was an ascending triangle pattern as well. Bitcoin did break bearish, or excuse me, did break bullish, but ultimately it did break bearish. So guys, we're going to go ahead and look at a couple of the technicals that have to do with this. One of them is out on the daily chart. And there's actually a couple of them out on the daily chart. The first one that I want to show you actually relates to a video that I recorded for the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy yesterday that will be going up next week as we run a new sale on CT2A. That would have to do with the 50 and the 100, the 50 and the 200 daily moving averages crossing bullish, also known as a golden cross. As I talk about in that video, this is an extremely bullish event. In this video, I don't have time to get into what exactly a golden cross is and why they're so powerful and everything, guys. If you're interested in that, join CT2A. That video will be going out soon. But this golden cross between these two moving averages, the 50 down here and the 200 up here, is an extremely bullish event, and it almost always predicts a bull market starting within the next 3 to 6 months. And we're about to see this cross more than likely here before the end of the month, perhaps in May, depending on what the market does, depending on how these two different moving averages curve. We may see this happen sometime in May. Most likely, we're going to see this golden cross happen before the end of the month. And that is a very bullish sign. If we look back here into 2015, the last time we saw a golden cross on Bitcoin, it corresponded perfectly with Bitcoin starting a bull market right over here in October 2015. Before that, if you back extrapolate these or use an older chart, the one before that was right here. I still think this is where we are, guys. I still think we're in this rally before the bull market. I still believe that's where we are, and I still think that this golden cross is predicting something, but I don't necessarily believe that we're about to start a bull run in the next couple of weeks. That's very possible that that happens, though, guys. Even though we've seen a lot of similarities between our current market and the 2015 market, it is possible that we do see that bull market go ahead and start now, even though based on 2015, it should be starting in a couple of months sometime in the summer. That is possible. I don't want to discount that 100%, so keep in mind that that can happen. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention was something that someone mentioned in the comment section of yesterday's video. Forgive me, I don't remember who said this, but they mentioned the 500 exponential daily moving average. Now, when you're calculating moving averages that you want to use, typically what you do is you go ahead and double the moving average from before. That's why we use the 50, the 100, the 200, and if you were to move these out, the next one you would use would be the 400. And he mentioned the 500 exponential moving average, and I looked at that, and he actually had a pretty good point. It did prove to be a very useful moving average. I switched it to the 400 moving average, and it gave basically the same signals. So I want to show this to you guys. I'm not exactly sure how powerful this will be, but I do want to show it to you. The 400 daily exponential moving average right here is lining up perfectly with our level of resistance. As we can see, it's sitting right here around $5,350 or so, giving us perfect resistance. I mean, that could not be a nicer level of support, or excuse me, a nicer level of resistance lining up with our current resistance. And in fact, we've seen this level be used as resistance and support in the past. We saw Bitcoin get support on it here, support there, support there, support there. We do see that we're getting resistance on it now. And if we look back, this is another one of those moving averages that was never even tested once during the bull market. But if we go back to our older charts, because of course we're going to have to, if we go back to our older charts, and we start looking way back into history on Bitcoin, then we're going to see that this moving average continues to be important. Bitcoin back over here in this rally that Bitcoin ran into before the bull market. Remember, this is where I think we are right now. Bitcoin tested resistance on it, and it didn't break it. But when Bitcoin did break it, the bull market started. So this might finally be the technical indicator that we're looking for that has actually the ability to predict when the bull market starts and can weed out these false starts like we saw back over here in 2015. So perhaps based on the way that this is predicting, and I'll show you a little bit more about this moving average in a bit, maybe based on how this moving average works, if we were to follow what happened in 2015, we will reject off of this moving average, fall down, it'll continue moving to the downside, we'll reject off of it, and then when we break above it sometime later on in the year, this will be when the bull market starts. Perhaps this is one of those technical indicators that we can use to predict when a bull market starts as well. Thank you very much to whoever brought that to my attention. I am a big fan of it, and because I'm a big fan of it, I will show you guys a couple more instances where it's been useful. We've seen resistance here, support there, support there. You can draw just about any moving average and get a couple touches on support and resistance, but this one does seem to be very, very powerful. As we can see back over here at the beginning of this bull run as well, Bitcoin had just gotten above it, saw support on it, saw support on it, saw resistance on it. I do like this moving average, and I will be using it in the future, and hopefully we can use it as a predictor for bull markets and bullish sentiment in the market on other time frames as well. Anyway, that was one of the last things I wanted to talk about. I do want to discuss MACD and the stochastic RSI, excuse me, the normal RSI. One thing I want to mention is that daily MACD is indeed bearish, but on the 4-hourly, Bitcoin's RSI is indeed quite bullish. It is moving up quite quickly. We are seeing it close in on itself a little bit over the last couple of hours, but depending on how Bitcoin trades over these next 4 to 8 hours, that may indeed change. You want to keep those things in mind because they are important. But I do also want to mention the daily RSI and the uptrend that we've been talking about here for the last week or so. Bitcoin has not necessarily broken very bearish yet, and of course Bitcoin's in fact broken bullish today. But before Bitcoin does break bearish, assuming Bitcoin breaks bearish, if it does break bearish, it's going to need to fall below this uptrend of support on the RSI. So it's not just support around $5,000 that we're looking at. We're also looking at support on this RSI line. And we are eventually, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this RSI figure, but I haven't seen a lot of people mention this. This is an uptrend of support on the RSI, which does mean eventually it's going to run all the way up to 100 on the RSI level, which does mean RSI is in this kind of ascending triangle pattern right here. But RSI can't break bullish here. It's impossible for RSI to go above 100 because of the way the calculation is set up. So eventually RSI is going to break below this, and since this has been hyped up and since so many people are looking at this RSI level, this RSI uptrend that has been going on for the last 4 or 5 months, when it does break it, it is going to be an important event. It hasn't happened yet, but when it does, I think it's going to be some of the fuel that we'll need to push Bitcoin back down to the downside. I do still think that we're going to have a big correction before the bull market starts. I may be proven wrong on that, but for the time being, I think we're going to see that. It's very possible Bitcoin breaks bullish out here and rejects off of $6,000. That's a possible case, but no matter what, I think we're going to see a retracement of some kind before the bull market starts. Either way, guys, that was most of what we wanted to discuss on the technical analysis portion of today's video. I don't think there was anything else, so let's go ahead and get on into a bit of news. If you guys watched yesterday's video, you will know that Binance and Shapeshift have gone ahead and delisted Craig Wright's Bitcoin SV, following Craig Wright trying to sue people based over kind of insulting hashtags on Twitter, although insulting doesn't really remind you that they were valid hashtags. So there was a fellow named Huddleonot on Twitter calling Craig Wright a fraud and saying that he was not in fact Satoshi Nakamoto, and Craig Wright more or less threatened him with legal action, which was not something that the cryptocurrency community was on board with, nor was Changpeng Zhao on board with, the CEO of Binance. So Binance went ahead and delisted Bitcoin SV, and a couple of other exchanges did the same, including Shapeshift. Here in yesterday's video, I also talked about this poll that Kraken was running, saying, should Kraken delist Bitcoin SV? And one of those yes votes would, of course, be me. And in fact, Kraken has gone ahead and done that. Kraken cited erratic behavior such as fraudulent claims of being Satoshi Nakamoto, threats, and legal action as the catalyst behind delisting. The exchange's decision follows in the footsteps of exchanges Binance and Shapeshift, which dropped the coin earlier this week, as we talked about. As we talked about in yesterday's video, also, Changpeng Zhao has recently warned Australian computer scientist Craig Wright, Bitcoin SV's most stalwart proponent and self-proclaimed Bitcoin inventor Satoshi Nakamoto, which he is not Satoshi Nakamoto, that if he didn't correct some controversial behavior, which, by the way, Changpeng Zhao was not the only person who didn't like, pretty much the entire cryptocurrency community is mad at Craig Wright because of what he's been doing and how he's been acting, Binance would delist Bitcoin SV, which they went ahead and did. Changpeng Zhao has some teeth behind his threats, so don't go messing with that guy. He is the CEO of the largest cryptocurrency exchange on the planet at the moment, before the decentralized exchanges start rising up later on in the second half of, not in the second half, but later on in this decade or early on in next decade, hopefully. Anyway, we discussed all of that in yesterday's video. If you want to look at that, go ahead and watch yesterday's video. Skip about halfway through and you'll go ahead and see what we were discussing with the Bitcoin SV debacle. But in this video, the update that I wanted to mention to you guys is that Kraken has gone ahead and delisted Bitcoin SV as well. And this might not be the end of this. There may be a lot of other cryptocurrency exchanges that follow suit and go ahead and delist Bitcoin SV. There's a lot more drama going on behind this, but guys, drama is for my llama, and we are not with my llama right now. We're with cryptocurrency. So let's go ahead and continue. The next news story that we want to talk about would have to do with Waves. And as you guys may know, Waves is a very large cryptocurrency. I believe at the time this article was released, it was the 29th largest cryptocurrency in terms of market capitalization. It's trading around $2.65. Let's go ahead and bring up the Waves BTC chart and see what happened here. I believe that said that this happened on the Binance chart, so let's go ahead and see. Oh, that happened. Well, look at that. That's a major candlestick. That's a major wixes to the downside, guys. Let's go ahead and zoom in here to like the 15-minute chart and see what happened. Ah, that's what happened. Yeah, just this morning, Waves had a major flash crash. I mean a major flash crash, all the way down to 10 Satoshis from where it was trading around 5,000 Satoshis. Waves had a gigantic crash. And interestingly enough, what happened here is that someone more than likely went on Binance and sold a lot more waves than they meant to, and they sold the entire order book. Guys, they ran up literally the entire order book. More interestingly, however, the cryptocurrency went through the so-called flash crash. A sell order, probably market with no limit price, for 506,000 waves was executed. Guys, this is like $1.5 million worth of waves, and dragging the price as low as 0.0000001 Bitcoin, or 0.00052 cents, as seen on the charts below. And that is not something that anyone intended to do, and I'll tell you why no one intended to do that, because if they intended to do that, they would have lost a lot of money. Whoever did this lost hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of waves because they were selling below market price. Every single sell order that happened way down here, because this happened just about instantly because of the way these automated trading softwares work, every single sell order that happened anywhere down here below market price means that he was selling waves for cheaper than he meant to, and probably lost a ton of money. Whoever did this most certainly didn't mean to do this, and the market, of course, recovered within 1 minute. We can't actually get down to a time frame small enough to see it recover, but interestingly enough, that did happen. And when I was reading the top of this article, it reminded me of something that happened way back in the day on Ethereum. Way back right around the time that I was getting into Ethereum, on the Ethereum US dollar chart on Coinbase, someone sold, I believe it was about $30 million worth of Ethereum, and crashed the market price on Ethereum all the way down from around $325 all the way down to about $13. I remember this vividly because I had gotten into the market just a little while after it happened. Excuse me. I think I said I was in the market when this happened. I remember getting into the market right over here and people talking about this. I was looking at this on the chart. I'm like, oh yeah. Someone sold $30 million worth of Ethereum. And funnily enough, I was thinking about that and reminiscing on the days when I first got into cryptocurrency. You guys all remember the first 6 months you're in crypto. I'm sure it was amazing. It's really an interesting time. And then I kept reading, and in fact, the article goes ahead and talks about that because, of course, they do. What is certain is that we've seen this before. Crypto Potato reported back in December with that a similar flash crash took place with Ethereum, dragging its price to as little as $13 while it was trading a little above $100. They may be talking about a different flash crash than I am, because Ethereum was trading around $300 when this happened on the chart that I'm looking at, but nevertheless, this was definitely an interesting move here on waves, and it was definitely an interesting move on Ethereum back in the day. If you were able to have a buy order down there at like 10 Satoshis on waves and just buy whatever, bought up a ton of waves, good on you, because you probably just made hundreds of thousands of dollars from buying a ton of waves. If you were to buy like 10 waves down there, you would have, what, 500,000 Satoshis? That's not bad, but considering that waves would have cost you less than a penny to buy, that's a lot of money. Anyway, guys, these things do sometimes happen, so when you're on exchanges, always be careful to make sure you are selling the right amount. Whoever had $1.5 million worth of waves on exchange probably should have taken that into consideration, but in fact, their bank account will tell them not to do that again. But either way, guys, that's the news for today. Tell me in the comment section down below what you think of Craig Wright, or maybe actually I shouldn't do that, because let's not get too heated and start hating on people in the comment section down below. People do tend to do things that they shouldn't do, but also at the same time, let's not go ahead and just crucify them in my comment section. Either way, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I do hope you did enjoy today's video. Like I said, there's going to be another sale going on CT2A in the next week or so. There will be 5 new videos going up in the course. 2 of them are already made. Another one will be made today. Those videos will be going live probably, most likely, during the weekdays of next week. We'll see when I want to launch that. Either way, guys, get ready for that, because there are some very, very good videos going up in CT2A that I'm already very happy with. Either way, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.